Hello, my dear viewers. You are welcome. This is Albert Wanyo. In writing and even in conversation, there is always the need for us to actually put across what we want to. And whatever we are talking about sometimes needs to be qualified or modified for the listener or the reader to identify what we're talking about. So it leads to the use of what we call modifiers. So in this video, we are going to talk about the use of modifiers, specifically misplaced modifiers and dangling modifiers. They constitute a source of error in sentence construction. Let's see how we can avoid them. Now, modifiers are a group of words that provide information about an entity. So in this case, let's take the lady. So the lady is an entity. The lady is a noun. And we want to provide information about the lady. So we can have, for example, the lady. But which of the ladies we want to specify? So we say the lady in jeans. If there are so many ladies, right? Which of the ladies? The lady sitting in front. Which of the ladies? The lady wearing wig. So all these group of words in jeans, sitting in front, wearing wig are all modifiers. Modifying the lady. Okay? Now let's see how that occurs in a sentence. So in writing, the modifiers are usually placed very close to the entity that they are modifying, and that makes the sentence to be well formed. For example, we can complete what we started by saying, the lady in jeans entered the lecture hall. That sentence is well formed because we have the lady. Which lady? The lady in jeans entered the lecture hall. Then we have the lady. Which lady? The lady sitting in front is my friend. The lady. Which lady? The lady wearing wigs is standing close to the wall. Now, my dear students, what happens is that sometimes we do not place the modifiers close to the entity that they are modifying, and that results in what we call misplaced modification. So we have misplaced modifiers. So let's look at examples of instances of misplaced modifiers. So we have, for example, the lady entered the lecture hall in jeans. In this case, what is in jeans? The sense or the meaning will be that the lecture hall in jeans. But the lecture hall cannot be in jeans. So we say this is an example of a sentence in which the modifier is misplaced. It should be placed close to the lady, but it is now placed close to the lecture hall, and the hall cannot be in jeans. The next example, the lady is my friend sitting in front. So it should be who is sitting in front. It should rather be the lady sitting in front is my friend. So this sentence is awkward. Now the third one, look at the lady standing close to the wall wearing wig. The wall cannot be wearing wig. So that modifier is misplaced. So it should rather be the lady wearing wig is standing close to the wall. Do you get it? Great. Now, what do we have to do? Whenever we come across sentences like this, we have to rewrite them. So sentences like this are misplaced, then we have to rewrite them by placing the modifier close to the entity that they are supposed to modify. So we don't have the lady entered the lecture hall in jeans, but you rather rewrite it as the lady in jeans entered the lecture hall. Great. Now, let's look at another instance of modification that constitutes an error. We call dangling modifiers. Dangling modifiers. So, errors in the use of modifiers that becomes dangling modifiers. This error usually occurs when we have a sentence and the sentence has no subject. So there is an activity, there is something described in the sentence, but whoever is doing it or the person who performed that activity is not stated. So we say the sentence has no subject and it is therefore a dangling modifier. Let's look at this example we have here. Crossing the bridge, my pen fell into the river. Crossing the bridge, my pen fell into the river. Now, who was crossing the bridge? You get a point. It's not stated. We have my pen fell into the river, but we need to know who was crossing. So we say this is an example of what? A dangling modifier. Now, what do we have to do? We have to correct it. One of the ways that we correct dangling modifiers is through what we call using subordination or subordinators, or what we call subordinating conjunctions. So we can use the subordinating conjunction to help us to introduce the subject into the sentence. And examples of subordinating conjunctions are these words such as, why, when, though, because, since. And these subordinating conjunctions, they make a clause to become a subordinate clause, but it permits us to introduce the subject that is missing. Now, let's look at how this is done. So, when we take the example that we gave, crossing the bridge, my pen fell into the river, we can use a subordinating conjunction to start that sentence. So, let's use as. So, as I was, then we have now introduced the subject. So, as I was crossing the bridge, my pen fell into the river. So, this sentence is now well formed because we now have the subject. Is that okay? Great. Another way that we can correct dangling modifiers is to change the second part of the sentence from passive to active or from active to passive construction. You are already familiar with active and passive sentences. So let's look at the example we have here. So if we take crossing the bridge, my pen fell into the river. The second part of this sentence is my pen fell into the river. We are going to change it from passive construction into an active construction. And once we change it into an active construction, then we will now bring out the subject. Okay? So it becomes crossing the bridge, I dropped my pen into the river. So this change from passive to active has helped us to introduce the subject. So the sentence is now well formed. It is now correct. The dangling modification has been corrected to a well formed sentence. You see? Thank you for listening.